How's it? I'm Zane. I'm gonna skip the whole awkward introduction and jump right into the stitching. I'm gonna do a WIP Parade, and to give you a taste of what we're looking at, this is my project board. Sometimes I enjoy looking at my projects more than actually stitching them, so I keep this on hand to just stare at all the beautiful artwork. This project board has changed so much in the past year as I just kept adding projects, getting new ideas, changing them around. It used to just be a few images on here, and it turned into a whole montage of different projects. So to start with, my oldest WIP, I started in September of 2001 when Kaylee 10 Stitch started a sale for any artwork with Adrien Border. The sale is hashtag not border the sale, and I chose this image. It was something I was looking at the time and eyeing about, would I start it, should I start it? And then she posted it on Instagram, and I knew this is now my new best friend. I absolutely love his artwork. I've got 2 projects going from Adrien Border. This chart is available on Unconventional X-Stitch. So far, this is one of my projects with the most progress on, as it's the oldest one, and I cannot stop having goosebumps just looking at this. So here is my project. This is how far I've gotten. I started in the left-hand corner and moved my way down. You'll also see that I like to have completed pieces, and I don't jump around too much. I've decided recently that I want to do diagonal pages, working my way from the top to the bottom and seeing how the image grows. The detail in this eye is absolutely fabulous. And some people say that the eyes are a bit creepy, but if you can put so much detail into the eyes, I'll just keep stitching eyes from Adrien Border forever and ever. Now this piece is definitely not my favorite colors, but the emotion is absolutely beautiful. Sometimes I want to cry, and sometimes I'm very happy looking at this image, but it just always gives me all the feels. Now so far, I've gotten in 43,819 stitches, and that puts me at 23% completed. I was aiming to get 30% completed during 2023, but I just kind of got bored, and frankly, I just started all the things, so this is where she's going at by next year. Oh. So the next piece I started was in the year of 2022, in January. I found these images charted on Heaven and Earth Designs, by one of my favorite artists. So I had this book for many years by N.C. Escher, and this image was available, and I absolutely loved this image since years and years and years ago. Now the chart from Heaven and Earth Designs are mirrored, so the image that you'll get is just the other way around. That bothered me at first, and I realized with this type of artwork, it's just not going to make a difference. So here is my progress so far. This is so much fun to stitch because every time I work on it, I complete a new animal, object, creature. So it's just enough for a stitchy session over a few days until I get bored, and then by that time a new creature has appeared. Well, so far I've done 8,593 stitches, and that only gives me 6.4% of this image done. I can't wait to see how this will progress, as every time you finish an image, you can see the next creature coming around in the negative space. This will be some kind of demon, devil, and here you can see the shape of a fish coming out, which will be the next image that I'll stitch. Now I've got two little kiddos, so sometimes my stitching is influenced by them. I've got two little daughters, and obviously if you've got a girl, you have to stitch a frozen piece. Now this image I got from Etsy, from Donut Stitch. She's got a whole collection of Disney characters in her distinctive method of charting, which I absolutely love, and I'm probably going to stitch a lot more. If you want to see a lot of this artwork, you have to go to Carla at Stitch Me Sane. She's got quite a few going. Now during this year, I kind of felt like finishing all the 3810, and now I can actually see the whole image coming through. This year I'm planning to start filling in, and who knows, I might get the same urge for finishing all the outlines. Maybe I'll want to just color in all the stitches of this piece. For this one I've got 20,000 stitches, for 20,400 odd stitches done, and that brought me to 52%. And okay, so the next piece is also a Haid. It is Reading Time by Randall Spangler. This is the regular size chart. I've been looking at this and wondering if I want to change this up for the mini. Quick pause for dogs barking. So I've decided not to do the mini because these little creatures in here are just so much fun to look at, and I'm thinking it's going to be so much fun to stitch them. So now I haven't gotten very far. I finished the first page. I started this in May of 2022, and I'm really looking forward to working a lot more on this image. By the end of the roundabout here on the second page, I'm going to start stitching the owl, which is very exciting. So far, all the full coverage pieces I've shown you are all stitched on 28 count. That's my happy space on stitching on 28 count. It's got good coverage. And it kind of shrinks the pieces a bit more. Now, somewhere during the time of starting all those images, I started this image. This is a picture by Lucy Pittaway. I just adored this because I imagined this being my eldest daughter and the new baby being my little sheeps. little sheep is a term of endearment in my language. So it really felt quite applicable. Now, as I started this image is very big. At the moment, I think it's my third biggest head. And I realized with the type of image that it is, it's just too big. It could have been great as a mini, but I just missed the mark as Lucy Pittaway Art was just retired by the time I realized I would rather want to stitch the mini. So this is how far I got, and this will now be cut up. The fabric will be reused, as this is a UFO project. The first ever head that I purchased, and the first head that I started, guess why it's in here? Because it's a restart in May of 2022. And this is Mini Mother and Daughter Hugs by Vicky Wade. Now this image has a lot of emotional feels to it that I'll probably share in future videos. So I initially started this in 2021 on 18 count Ada, and I realized I definitely don't like stitching full coverage pieces and with 2 strands. So I restarted this on 25 count in May of 2022. So this is how far I've gotten. There's a lot of 3756 in this, so it's a lot of block coloring. So it goes quite fast. I'm just not always in the feels to stitch all these light colors. Currently I've done 16,500 odd stitches on this, and it's at 20%. Now I would like to join Stitch Me Sane on her sale for a Hate this decade and kind of make this my focus piece. When I showed my 5-year-old my project board, and I told her to pick a piece that she wants me to finish, she picked this piece, and I thought it was the best incentive to actually get this going and at least start seeing the actual woman in this image. In 2021, I started a stocking, as I would like to have each family member have a stocking for Christmas. I finished the first stocking, and I finished it in September of 2023. 2022. I'm still at 22 WIPs. Goodness, I'm wishing the time away. So I started a stocking, and just before my second girl was born, I finished the first stocking. And I started this in September of 2022 while in hospital for when my kiddo was born. This stocking is a Doreen Jones design. I purchased it on Etsy. I've got 4 of her stockings that I purchased on Etsy, and I plan to do the 4 for our 4 family members. This is how far I've gotten. So you can't even see any of the characters in here. And I got quickly bored for the same reason that I don't like stitching with 2 strands for major full coverage. This is stitched on 18 count fabric that I got quite cheap from a local LNS. This is on 7,000 stitches odd and at 27%. I would like to get this done by this year, although I wanted to finish this in this year, but I barely stitched on it at all. Another piece influenced by my two daughters is Quick Stitch Furry Sisters. This is artwork by Julie Fain and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Now this is one of the pieces that I started during my maternity leave with my baby. She was the best newborn in the world, and she was sleeping so much that I often almost forgot about her. So this image starts with all the dark, and this is how far I've gotten. Currently I've done 6,300 odd stitches on this, bringing it to 7.9%, almost at the 8% mark. It's gotten a lot more of this moon done. At least the moon is purple, which is my favorite color. While browsing on the Hayes site, I came across to this image, and for some reason this is by Hannah Lynn Disney, also charted by Heaven and Earth. I just really like this image. This is called Sasha and Jet. It's a mini, and I kind of regret doing the mini on this because it is confetti craziness. I've only gotten this far, doing a bit of the actual little dragon and some of her hair, and I don't often want to pick this up because of the crazy confetti. I've done 4,300 stitches on this so far, and because it's so small, it's actually just over 10%. This is also one of the pieces I started during my first month of being a mom to my second baby. Another maternity leave start was Evening by Leonard Abramov, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I've had this in my wish list for a very long time, and it was waiting to be started for, I think, more than a year. I really like this one more than the more common Farewell to Anger, because I like the blue. It just looks a bit brighter. Now with this, I started, and I absolutely love that even in the first page, you got to see so many different colors. Even though this is a very dark corner, I'm really looking forward to a lot more color. So this is a lot of fun to stitch. So far you can see about 10,000 stitches, and this is at 4.3%. In November of 2022, a new cross-stitch charting company, or maybe just before November of 2022, when Contemporary Cross decided to surprise us with the most beautiful art. Now when I saw this, I knew it had to be Stitch, as this is an elephant. An elephant is one of my two favorite animals. This is artwork by Laura Grave. And it's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So, now this is one of the pieces that's charted with no background. So it felt so great that I finished the whole top row of pages quite quickly. Now I started and completed the whole of the pink and orange and yellow stitches at the top of the triangle and moved down to the ear of the elephant. So far I've stitched 8,000 stitches on this, which is strange, it doesn't look so much. And I'm at 7.9%. Now with the elephant, I kind of got into the idea of stitching the big 5 animals that we have in Africa. I've already completed a lion a few years ago, and then I decided to add the elephant, and the next one in line was the rhino. Now this rhino is called Rhino Splash, and the artwork is by Nicolee Payne, and this is an unconventional X-stitch project. I absolutely love the watercolor charts, images. Goodness, this is like a game show. You know all the answers when you're sitting on the other side of the screen. But on this side, there's just no words. So this one looks quite strange. It just looks like a blob of stitching. However, you can see it is the back of the neck of the rhino coming in. On this image, I've just made my target of 5,000 stitches, and that is 10.5%. Now this image is something I'm not sure if I want to show, but it's part of my pieces. I saw this on Etsy and I realized that if I could do art, this is definitely the type of art that I would love. Cubism is something that I like to doodle with. And I saw this on Etsy, and I don't want to give the shop name. I tried to reverse search this image just to see if it is copyrighted. Now, I found a lot of images in the same similar style, but not this specific image. It looks quite cool. Now this one is not so big because it's not so wide. And I got the top part started in the brown and blue. This is 3,700 stitches and 5% on the dot. So in the start of 2023, I actually joined the craze and started a Carolyn Manning piece. This is September Sapphires. This is a combination of all my favorite colors, purple and blue. And this is how this project is coming along. I started doing all of the one color along the top, so this is the whole size of it. This is 3,636 stitches and a fabulous 10%. Actually, I started this a while before on 18 count, and full coverage with 2 strands is something I don't like. Ooh, the next. This is part of my big 5 stitching. I saw this on the Rocking Stitcher when she bought this at a craft fair, and I've wanted it forever after. Now, we have limited options of kits. It's not available in my country. So once my local LNS decided to import some dimension kits, I jumped on it and requested this kit. What I didn't know is that this would be the most expensive craft thing I have ever bought in my life, and that it includes the sewing machine that I got as a wedding gift. This is Leopard and Repose by Dimensions. I started this in February as a birthday start for me. So far I've just gotten into all the green leaves and a hint of leopard. I'm not looking forward to the backstitch because I hear that backstitch on Dimensions kits are a bit of a disaster. But I'm quite liking the different amount of strands that you use. It just breaks up the monotony of just normal X's. In May of 2023, I received a mystery box from my local LNS with my first ever hand-dyed fabric. Once again, we get everything that's what's available. So I wanted to find something to stitch on this. So I went onto Etsy from 2x2 Stitch Art. I got this little sampler. I like the flow of the leaves and the more wavy type shape more than the rectangular type samplers. And I decided to take this and use it as my travel stitching. So this is the only one that I'm actually doing in hand, trying to learn how to do in hand. I'm doing this with a DMC variegated floss. It's my first attempt at doing variegated floss. Not doing any color controlling at all, as this is mostly done wherever I'm sitting. And I'm really quite enjoying this. Although I've really underestimated the size of this piece. So far I've done 2,700 stitches on this, and this is just short of 10%. There's a lady at my local LNS that absolutely loves black work, and it always fascinated me, and she uses variegated floss to do the back work. And then I decided in May, I want to join that craze. And I got a black work from Peppermint Purple. This is called 3 Squares. I've changed the colors to more of jewel tone purples, blues, and a bit of green that I haven't stitched yet. And this is how this piece is progressing. I really like the black wood. It goes so fast, as I've only spent a few days working on this. And I'm definitely going to do some more black work in the future. Since I found a local LNS that I didn't actually know existed, I've been able to get quite a few kits, and I kind of enjoy working on the kits, especially the paper patterns. And that sounds strange, as everybody prefers Pattern Keeper. I definitely prefer Pattern Keeper for my full coverages, but I have a tablet that is often stolen by my 5-year-old because she forgets to charge hers. So I kind of default to paper patterns. We also have a thing that quite often we don't have electricity. So I don't get to charge my tablet very often. So the alternative of having a few paper patterns on hand is something I appreciate. So I like the variety of it. So once again, in May, I think I did unintended mania. I started Woman with Flowers. This is a Lenate kit. Oh, she's gorgeous. Now this image is stitched on black Ada. Seems like I think it's 14 count. And she is absolutely beautiful. All the black in this project is not stitched. So her hair and the bodice her décolletage that I still need to stitch, and the outside outlinings of the flower is not stitched, and it looks so striking. Love her. In another unintended mania start is an unconventional X-stitch piece. This is artwork by Adrien Border, and this is Starry Night Greyhound. Now for me, this is not a greyhound. I have a dog. She's a mixed breed. Her name's Foxy. And I have a photo that is exactly this image. It is exactly charted to be my little Foxy. I'm going to move the camera so you can actually see my little Foxy. And this is my little Foxy. I did the Great Dane version of Adrien Border's art from Unconventional X-Stitch. And this would be a companion piece for my Great Dane. Now this is barely a start. I think I had so many other starts that I wanted to do. So I only did 1,040 stitches. These Adrien Border patterns by Unconventional X-Stitch is quite confetti heavy, but it looks amazing. Oh, next up is my project of 1,000,000 starts. So another favorite of mine, Adrien Border, where we started this whole adventure. This is Enter the Void, charted by Unconventional X-Stitch. And she is gorgeous. She reminds me a lot of a friend of mine, even though the friend has brown eyes and not blue eyes. but the whole emotion of this reminds me of that friend. Now, this image I started on 32 count, which was supposed to be even weave, and 32 count is something that is not really easily sourced here. So I was very excited to get the 32 count to start attempting to do full coverage on 32 count. And I started at the left hand corner, and I absolutely hated the fabric. It was very uneven. So I restarted the project on a piece of 40 count even weave, which turned out to be very much uneven even weave, and I started here in the middle. So I got to her lips and I realized they looked a bit squished. So you have to owe that. Finally, I got a piece of new 32 count at a different LNS. I started in the middle again on, with her lips. And her lips have as much detail as the eyes do in these images. I was so happy with this restart. And I was so excited working on it again until I realized I made the age-old mistake of having the orientation of the fabric incorrectly. So I haven't restarted this yet, as I only recently realized it was wrong. But I'm very happy to have sourced some new 32 count so I can restart Enter the Void again. Now the big 5 animals, for the people who don't know, in Africa are the lion, the elephant, the rhino, the leopard, and the buffalo. Now with the types of art that I found, it was very hard to find a buffalo, especially the Cape buffalo, the Cape buffalo, and something that I really like. Now I found this on Etsy. It's called Zentangle Buffalo. And it's by a shop called X-Stitch with Elsie. And this just really fit with my big 5 animals. I found some 25 count black fabric, and I only started in the middle and I finished the snout. And I'm looking forward to stitching a lot more on this. I have only 2,000 stitches on my buffalo. This is not a very big chart, so secretly I'm planning on finishing this in 2024. A random find at my LNS. But and this is in July of 2023. I found this Dimensions kit. It's a Dimensions Gold Petite called Seashell Treasures. And this is just something I randomly pick up if I'm looking for something small. I started in the middle and I worked myself way to the left hand corner to where I like to work. So currently this doesn't look like anything, But I believe this image is, even when it's finished stitching without the back stitching, it doesn't look like anything. This doesn't get a lot of love. Mostly I forget about it, so this is it. Next up, it's also a project of a million starts, is a bit different from everything else. Now, this artwork is something that I've loved forever. I found it randomly, probably on the internet, and I didn't quite know what it was, and I wanted to paint it. I wanted to get a tattoo of this. I wanted it everywhere. And eventually, when I learned how to do the reverse searches, I found that this is actually paper art. So I'll try to bring it in a bit closer. And this is art known as quilling. Now, I actually attempted doing the craft of quilling, and I realized this art is famous for a reason, because it's very hard to replicate something like this. The artist that I'm talking about is Yulia Brodskaya, and she creates the most beautiful paper art in this fashion. So now I had this image, and I asked the artist if I can actually use it to create an embroidery piece. And I asked Paula from Contemporary Cross if she'll create this chart for me. She created the chart, and I started it in the middle on the uneven 40 count, and I realized I don't want to do an image this big. This is charted to be almost the size of a supersized Haid. It is 800 and something stitches in height, and I have a very terrible little start. I started in the middle top, and you can barely see what it is, but it'll get some more love. The next one I finally started in August of 2023. Now this is quite special to me. In January of 2023, I won this chart from DM's Crafty Vortex channel. Now we have a bankrupt postal system, and actually getting post from anywhere is quite rare. So this is Heartstring Sampler. Heartstring Sampler. First I drink the coffee. Then I do the things. And I got the perfect fabric for it. Once again, fabric, when it's available, you jump. And this was my first attempt at doing this Quaker style cross stitch charts, and I really like it. It really kind of gets my left brain and my right brain working on the same things. Oh, now I'm so excited. My first item received from overseas. And I'm about just short of halfway done with this. Oh, my next start is my first chart from the Crossstitch studio. This is Small and Mighty by Romance Art. I saw this and I absolutely fell in love. Immediately sought some 28 count to start this. I was so excited to start it. I started it in September of 2023. And I guess I was so excited, then I got distracted. So I just started with about 360 stitches. Not very, very impressive. I want to do a lot on this because I really, really, really love this. Oh, it's beautiful. In the beginning of October, I got something that's completely very unlike something I ever thought I would do. I got a stamped cross stitch as a gift. This is definitely copyrighted art, so I'm not even gonna name what it is, but I really wanted to start this, especially this comes with silk-based threads. So I wanted to see what it was like to work with the silk-based threads. Actually, I don't like it, but this is what the artwork would look like. This is my start of 300 stitches, and I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get to this a lot. It's 14 count, 2 strands. Maybe, because this is quite beautiful. This artist is actually an artist from Uganda. I looked her up, I can't remember what her name is. Oh, stone. Next one is from the dear Kaylee 10 Stitch, the Sewing Shop CA. This is artwork by Ether Alf. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. She does absolutely fantastic AI art with a distinct style. Yes, I like her AI art. I said it. Now this was also one of the pieces that I started on the 40 count uneven weave, and since restarted in November of this year, and that's 1,300 stitches, all in my favorite colors. Wait, it goes this way. No, that way. And then began my big, I don't know, I got lost in scrolling on Etsy, and I just bought lots of patterns. I am a big fan of the whole look of the anatomy of a breast, and given that I'm breastfeeding my second child for an extended time, which is not common in my country, I really love this. And I have a very small start on this. This was in the very end of November this year. It's a very small start, and this is on the very terrible 32 count that I started Into the Void on, but it works very well with over 2. And you can see I've just started that top bit. Actually, I started here in the middle, worked my way to the top, and then stopped. Now, continuing with my whole Etsy Start All the Things December, one of my absolute favorite designers is Vivian Powers from Vivsters on Etsy. And I've been looking at this chart forever and ever. I bought the 5-pack of all the game boards. This one is Scrabble. There's a chess, Ludo, backgammon, and Chinese checkers. So I'm planning on stitching all of them. They are quite big. It's about, I think, 300 by 300 square. And I started the Scrabble piece because that's something that we like to play. And this is on 28 count, which is quite cute and small. I'm also looking forward to stitching some gold threads for the first time, putting in some metallic gold threads. And so far this is 1,200 stitches on the Scrabble board. I only do stitch counts for the patterns that I'm doing on Pattern Keeper. I don't count anything on paper patterns. Now, keeping in the WIP Sisters vibe, I saw an Australian flag on her Etsy site, and I reached out to her to do if she would do the South African flag. And within 2 days, she created my South African flag, not mine, my country's South African flag. Since then, it's become a bit of a craze on Instagram with the hashtag 2024 Quaker flag sale. And she's created quite a few different national flags. And I'm happy to say that I started mine in the beginning of December, just before the craze hit. This is such an easy chart to stitch. It's perfect when you have little ones because you can pick up without actually marking off the Pattern Keeper chart. I can just pick up where I left off because every square is on its own. I stitched until I had 5 of the 6 colors in the flag. The light. Before I put it down, I love stitching on this. Still keeping with WIP Sisters. Thanks, Vivian. I'll just stitch everything you do. This is Fabulous Rainbow Mandala. And I literally just had a baby start. I'm doing it on a mauvey purple fabric, and I just have the very center done so far. Now I'm doing something, the next chart is something I thought I'd never do, is a fancy lady, and the fancy lady that I have was picked by my daughter. This will be my attempt at my first Joan Elliott chart, Fairy Magic. And the other thing that I also love about this is that I'm stitching it on some hand-dyed fabric by the beautiful lady at my local L&S. This is a 14 count green Ada, and it's so strange stitching on soft Ada. I've never realized that it can be a thing. So this I've only recently started. It's everything from last week, mid-December, and I've actually gotten to started in the middle with her arms, worked my way up and gone to her wings, and I'll work my way down as I like to stitch. Now, the next project is something I actually started when I was 8 years old. I started this with my sister, who is also very creative. Now, this is definitely something very unlike me. This is Paulin love songs. And as I said, we started this when I was about 8 years old. I didn't get very far because I think we just stitched on it one summer, holidays. And a lot of this really intimidated me, especially the bazillions of quarter stitches. And I was so excited to find this chart again at a local LNS, a local needlework shop. And I decided to redo it in memory of where my cross-stitch journey actually started. And surprisingly, for only starting this last week, I've done so much. And a lot of quarter stitches. I have to say the original one I would have loved to show, but it got wet inside of a container, and it molded to absolute nothingness. Next up, I started a new project that I want to do as a travel piece when I go out with the kids and can only keep one eye on them and one eye on my cross stitch. And I thought it would be interesting to do something 3D. I've done a Bisono in the past, but I would like to do this, and it's called a Bisono Ball. And this is by Crossstitch TR on Etsy. Now this is so quick and fast to stitch that I've finished the first of 12 of the big, what is this, octagons, and started the next one. This goes quite quick, it's fun to do. That's little pieces that you can just hold in your hands quick. Oh, the next one that I started was also on my Etsy wish list for a long time, and I just want to look it up and then I can show you a photo on my drive. Just a second. Now, I found this octopus, which is the second of my two favorite animals. I have a tattoo exactly like this, and I really love this image. So I had a very small start on this, and I literally just started in the middle, worked my way to the top, and then 2 days later, which is I think 4 days ago, I found this on Etsy. Oh, whoopsie. So I found this. Now, the original one is by Light Unicorn Designs, and this one is by Nutty Happy Hobby, and I really like this colors a lot more. So I found a piece of black fabric, and I'll restart this octopus instead of this octopus. And now, speaking of octopi, earlier this year I bought a Riola's kit with an octopus, and I have a very small start, very small start from Christmas Eve. This chart is mostly blends. It's full coverage with blends. It's light. It's all strange to me. So I think this project will progress very, very slowly. And then the last of my starts during December, also on Christmas Eve, I started a Bothy Threads kit, a Rendell's design. It's called Fairy Ring. And I'm glad that during this Christmas time, I've managed to finish the mouse without backstitching. Now I have a few new starts that I'm planning before the end of the year. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get there, but for now, that is all my charts that I have going at the moment, that I have started, and I'm sure to have quite a few extras. I just want to do a quick count on what we've gone through so far, and that is 36 projects. So I want to thank you for joining me and showing you all 36 of my projects, my project Avalanche. And I'm looking forward to maybe showing you some more during the new year, and definitely as I progress on my objects. So I'll definitely be seeing you guys. That's it from me, Zan, from Zan X Stitch. Bye.